Bloodlines 2 is now out and roaming the earth, and it has not received the greatest of love. And it's a real shame that an awful lot of that negativismus is well deserved. Now normally, I'd say, let's do a positive, hit the negatives, and do some positives. You know, that time-honored practice of starting a meeting, annual reviews, etc. But let's just get right into the old crapola. For me, the single biggest disappointment is the checkpoint save system. We at the Outpost hate checkpointing, and there are certainly others online that are not happy, especially with how infrequent the saves happen. This is a semi-open world game. You can spend a lot of time looking for stuff, noting that I want to go back here, here's this person, and then life happens, or as happened here, getting kicked out of the game once. Only happened once, but still, that is lost progress. Even if they let us have the game save every 5 minutes or something, and then keep the last 4 or 5 of them. But this save system is horrendous. Main story checkpoints do get saved, but there is only one autosave that happens and gets overwritten. So unless you want to go back to the last story beat, you're seriously in trouble. I find it at best inconsiderate of the customer's time, and I don't care how many times a dev says it creates immersion and tension, it creates annoyance. Life happens, your game is secondary to that. Let me have my life and play your game too. I paid for it, don't punish me for having to do other things in life than your game. And how about when you're in one of those story areas where you have 3 levels of bad guys to go through? Have to leave for some reason? Now you gotta kill all those idiots again. Yes, I really hate checkpoint saves. In fact, I almost uninstalled the game when I saw that that's what it was going to do. But I told myself I couldn't be too disappointed. This was the Chinese room and that's what they do. Because let's get to the second point that really aggravates me. This is a walking simulator with other things stapled on. I knew combat was going to be sketchy, and when you can stealth around, I find it kind of fun yanking dudes off of ledges or throwing things at them. But the frenetic pace of the actual melee combat is just annoying. I know, get good, but I just hate the way the guys flit around the screen, no way to lock on, and the powers you can use, they're one shot and then you're done, and if you don't feed on someone else, well, you're beating people up. I mean, in small doses, it's fine, but when you have an entire area to clear just to get through a door, real annoying. And that's another thing. Why do I have to kill everybody in an area just to advance the story? If I can stealth up and go in the door, then let me do that. It's things like that that make these combat areas seem tacked on. Oh, we need to have the player do something besides talk to somebody. I know, we'll make them clear a room. Now, the saving grace to this, which is also a negative, is the AI is absolutely dumb as dirt. Standing in front of somebody, punching them, jump up, crouch. Well, they can't see you, so they're wandering around shouting a bunch of expletives about how you disappeared and they'll get you next time. What do you mean, moron? I'm standing right above you. I'm just crouching. Wow, this is certainly an area pretty much everybody questioned. The Chinese room doesn't do combat, so why are they expected to do good combat in Bloodlines 2? And then they have the audacity to put you in a timed section where you have to kill X number of guys or there's a masquerade breach. And then you have to do it 3 times in a row. Now there is a difficulty slider, and you can go from hard, normal, easy, and casual. Maybe it's just me, but I'm not having so much fun when I'm in a big melee scrum. And the control system isn't very natural, at least on the PC. And the one real glitch I've noticed is occasionally I will hit my right mouse button and then one of my powers and nothing happens, even if I do have all the pips filled. That's a good way to get yourself downed, and timed anything annoys me in games. It does make sense that, somebody's going to have a masquerade breach, I got to get over there and do something about it, so there would be a time limit, but throw in the combat at the same time, it's very easy to fail that mission. Alright, how about some non-combat gripes? The UI. That default UI in Unreal 5 sucks. And they did precious little to customize it to get rid of that suckage. That generic look does not enhance the game. And why doesn't it know how to accept double clicks? Why can't I set waypoints on the map? Why can't I spin my character around when I'm changing outfits or hair? And really, for hair, you have bald and 4 hairstyles and just a bunch of colors for those 4 hairstyles. And no facial hair. Oh, unless I forget, there's no real quest tracking system. What happened to a journal? Not just a bunch of of random codex entries where finding what you need to do next is a pain in the butt. And when you're in one of those main mission quests, all of your side quests go away off your map, so you can't even mouse over them to see what they are. We knew there wasn't going to be an inventory, so that wasn't disappointing, and mostly I'm fine with that. Carting around 8,000 guns, swords, knives, and rocket launchers doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but there's absolutely no excuse for not having a journal track my quests. And all those criticisms of it not being terribly RPG-ish are dead on. You're going to fill out your clan tree, and I had that completed before I even got out of the prologue. But then it's just a matter of, oh, maybe I'll pick this power from somebody else, so I grind until I get enough points and burn them on whatever new power I want. Noting that, of course, I only have 4 that I can use at one time. But you say, it's the Chinese room, you should expect that. And you're right, and I did expect that, so it's not a huge disappointment. But the writing, you might say, this is the Chinese room, that's what they do best. Might be a walking simulator, but hey, you get some good writing. I've heard a lot of people really trashing the story, and I haven't finished it, so I won't do that. I will say, for the most part, the writing's been very good, with one huge, honking, glowing exception: the Bed of Night. While the Chinese room and White Wolf collaborated on the creation of this character, it was not written by Chinese room and White Wolf staff, and it is god freaking awful. In a previous video, in fact more than one, I mentioned that I thought this was going to suck because the individual doing the work was making an homage to the Deb of Night from the original game. Well, what this person tried to do, Amanda Huddleston by the way, was do her version of the Deb of Night. It flat out sucks. It's cringe. It isn't funny. It isn't witty, and Huddleston, who is not a professional voice actor, does not do a good job at all. She thinks she's being seductive and sexy, and I'm not trying to be mean. She's just not very good. And in a game with really good VO, hers stands out as an absolute travesty. She also wrote all of the commercials. They're hideous. The big problem is, this started out as fanfic for her to do on her own time, and then it grew into something they decided to include in the game. My 2 cents says, don't do the Deb of Night. Do something that references it. Something that gives the player a callback to the original, but doesn't try to recreate the original. And perhaps my biggest gripe of the game is there is not nearly enough reactivity to my clan. We were told we would have lots of reactivity and lots of consequence. To this point, I have seen precious little of either. And from the reviews, commentary I've seen online, I think it's not gonna change. Oh right, the side quests are crap. Go kill a guy here, go deliver a package there, collect some gunk. That's the best you could do, Chinese room? Okay, what did work? Well, I think most of the main characters actually are very well done. And some of the interactions you have with these characters are genuinely good. Example, when you first meet Max, no spoilers by the way, doing a bit of RP in my head, playing a Beno Hakim, I thought that interaction was really well done. It felt in character for me, even though there were no Beno Hakim specific dialogue choices, which there should have been. The replayability of this game would be through the roof if most of these major character interactions had specific clan dialogue options. Again, something they claimed was going to be a big part of the game, but is not. So overall, the story might have enough oomph to keep me going, but more than one playthrough, probably never gonna happen. And that's disappointing. I was hoping to get several playthroughs out of this. I wanted to play each clan. But since, and we knew this already, you could pick all the powers just grinding enough and you'll get them, and having too few clan-specific dialogue options, and the clan side quests are junk, it pretty much guarantees that this is a one and done. That's assuming I can get past this timed combat section. Well, how about Fabian? While I don't hate him, but the murder mystery you're solving is a linear one and done. So learning about his past and solving this mystery is not going to help you in replayability. Now that let's climb all these walls and go run around on the rooftops, that's pretty cool, at least to start with, but rooftops are pretty bleak. Really, how many times can you walk around and admire an AC unit? But never fear, occasionally you'll run into idiots on a rooftop that'll try to kill you, and sometimes they do, and then you've got to restart from the last checkpoint. Well, how about their much vaunted neo-noir? Other than they oversaturate areas with hot pink, red, or green, this doesn't add to the atmosphere. it's something that probably worked way better in their mind than it does actually in the game. And they talked about how there was those warm spots where humans would be, and the dark foreboding where the creatures of the night could stalk. Not even close. Nothing really seems dark and foreboding, unless of course I turned the gamma all the way down so I couldn't see anything. And every dark alley has about 4,000 people in it. And I'm not kidding. Lots of people walk in the street, but there's lots of people in those alleys. And they're not standing around light sources. And then there's the blood essences. This boils down to 3 things. If you get dialogue options, they're the same 3 every freaking time. No matter what essence you're going for, no matter what your character, you have the same 3 dialogue options. And about 50% of the time, you don't even get a dialogue option. You just click on them and you start the interaction. And there are 3 interactions. Either they decide they want to beat the snot out of you and start hitting you, at which point you run into a dark alley, well, dark as it's going to get, avoid all the bums, and slurp them up. Or they might run away screaming that you're trying to kill them, at which point they will run into a dark alley and you slurp them up. Finally, they might just go all gaga for you and say they'll follow your fine ass anywhere, at which point you lead them into a dark alley and slurp them up. Now, mind you, the first 2, the guy trying to beat the snot out of you or the person running away screaming help, will run past a few 100,000 cops who casually stroll on by and don't really care. And yes, you ultimately can break the masquerade, but if you're fast enough, just run away, climb up a roof, stand there for a while, and everything's cool, just like you do in combat. And lastly, everything you're going to experience in this game, you will likely experience within the first couple of hours. And most of the things you're going to experience will happen before they even put the tutorial prompts up on the screen. You're going to find information about people you shouldn't know about, but yet you seem to. You'll know what there is to know about blood essences well before they prompt you for that. You name it, if you can do it, you'll have already done it, and then when they tell you how to do it, you're just shaking your head. And why, once I become sheriff, don't I get some nice place to live? And no, I still gotta live in my dirt hole. And lastly, the shouts. Whether it's what an NPC says as you're walking by them on the street, or what the enemies yell out as they're wandering around in and out of combat, there are not very many of them, and you hear them over and over and over. That doesn't help immersion at all. Alrighty, what are your thoughts? Pick this game up? Are you enjoying it? Am I just whining my brains out here or preaching to the choir? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, hit that like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.